Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're looking at a story that honestly feels like it was cooked up in a Hollywood writer's room. I mean, it's a tale of a meteoric rise, absolute devastation, and quite frankly, the most incredible comeback in modern entertainment history. We're talking about the resurrection of Robert Downey Jr. This isn't just your standard biography, it's really the ultimate inspirational script about second chances, and we're going to walk through exactly how he pulled it off.
But before we get into the incredible facts of this explainer, I want you to ask yourself something. Can you rewrite your story after hitting rock bottom? Think about a time you failed or really fell short. Now, imagine that failure broadcast to the entire world, totally costing you your livelihood. It's kind of hard to imagine ever bouncing back from that, right? But as we're going to see today, the capacity for a massive comeback is literally within all of us. So let's move to our first major chapter, a Hollywood prodigy's rise.
Robert John Downey Jr. was literally born into the industry in New York City. His dad, Robert Downey Sr., was an underground filmmaker and his mom, Elsie, was an actress. So being surrounded by cameras and scripts from day one, it completely set the stage for early success. I mean, he made his first film appearance at just 5 years old. By the 1980s, his natural charm and humor were absolutely lighting up the screen in movies like Weird Science and Less Than Zero. And then 1992 hits. He plays Charlie Chaplin in the film Chaplin and completely shocks Hollywood, earning an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. And you know, that Chaplin role? It's a perfect analogy for his life at the time. Just like the iconic silent film star, Robert had this undeniable natural talent for physical comedy and immense charm, but it was really masking an underlying tragic comedy unfolding behind the scene.
And that brings us to a much heavier reality. His father, the same man who nurtured his immense talent, also struggled deeply with drug addiction. And tragically, he introduced Robert to drugs at a very young age. This wasn't a choice Robert made as an adult partying it up in Hollywood. This was a dark shadow cast over him straight from childhood. It became one of the absolute darkest parts of his life.
Which leads us right into our next section, the darkest plot twist.
We've seen the rise, but when immense fame collides with deep-rooted addiction, well, even the most perfect script can unravel terrifyingly fast. During the late 1990s and early 2000s, the prodigy fell, and he fell hard. He faced multiple arrests, he went to rehab, he even spent time in jail. The fame and the addiction completely destroyed his acting career. The very same studios that once praised him as one of the greatest actors of his generation, they simply stopped hiring him. He had hit the absolute lowest point of his life.
So how did society categorize him during this time? Unreliable. That was his new Hollywood label. The industry basically believed his career was over forever. In fact, they considered him uninsurable, meaning it was financially too risky to even let him step foot on a movie set. Have you ever felt entirely discarded or judged solely by your absolute worst moments? Because that's exactly where Robert was. He was a total outcast in the very industry he grew up in.
But here is where the story pivots. Let's move to our next section, Forging the Iron Man.
Much like Tony Stark trapped in that cave, Robert realized nobody was coming to save him. He had to build his own armor to escape, and it was a grueling process. He leaned heavily on his support system, specifically his wife Susan Downey and his close friends. He brought strict discipline back into his life by practicing martial arts, and he maintained an intense, unwavering focus on his recovery. He decided to rebuild his life step by step, because real-life comebacks, they require massive action, intense discipline, and having people who believe in you when you don't even believe in yourself.
The contrast here is just staggering. He went from being deemed completely unreliable and uninsurable in the 90s to being cast as Tony Stark in 2008. Now, a lot of studios were incredibly unsure about casting him because of his dark past. But director Jon Favreau believed in him. He saw that Robert actually was Tony Stark, a brilliant guy who had to overcome his own massive self-destructive demons to find his true purpose. That belief, defying all those major studio doubts, became arguably the biggest turning point in Hollywood history.
Which brings us to our final chapter, a legacy of redemption.
The movie Iron Man wasn't just a hit, it literally launched a cinematic empire. Robert Downey Jr. didn't just get his career back, he became the undisputed face of Marvel, and more importantly, a global symbol of second chances. Just look at this legendary run. Iron Man, the Avengers, Captain America Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. He totally transformed Tony Stark into one of cinema's most beloved characters. And how did he do it? By pouring his own real-life traits into the role. His natural humor, his sharp intelligence, his hard-won confidence, and his deep emotional acting. For millions of fans worldwide,
Robert Downey Jr. simply was Iron Man.
Then there's that iconic line, "I am Iron Man." In Avengers Endgame, his character sacrifices himself to save the universe, uttering this legendary phrase. It became one of the most iconic moments in movie history, marking the emotional end of an era. But think about what this means for Robert personally. This wasn't just a line in a script. When he said, "I am Iron Man," it represented him fully reclaiming his life, his identity, and his legacy after years of agonizing struggle.
To really grasp the objective magnitude of his success today, you just have to look at the accolades. We're talking an Academy Award winner with Golden Globes and BAFTA awards. He is one of Hollywood's highest paid actors and a true pop culture icon, pulling off massive hit roles beyond Marvel, like in Sherlock Holmes, Oppenheimer, and Tropic Thunder. He went from uninsurable to undeniable. His journey is widely considered one of the greatest comebacks in the history of entertainment.
So, what should we take away from all this? Why does Robert Downey Jr. inspire millions of people? Because his story proves that failure is not the end. It proves that addiction can be overcome. It proves that people can fundamentally change. And it proves that a comeback is always possible. From prison and the grips of addiction to becoming the king of Marvel and Hollywood royalty, he showed us the ultimate blueprint for resilience.
Which brings us to a final question I want to leave you with today. Failure isn't the end. So what will your comeback story be? We've seen the evidence today that no matter how far you fall, you hold the pen to rewrite your own script. Use Robert's journey as your inspiration, forge your own armor, and start building your comeback. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.